We arrived at the airport at Mount Pleasant. It was windy and there was a chill in the air at the start of their summer. Once again, a convoy of buses welcomed us and were waiting to take us to Port Stanley. So, with a continuing apprehension, I climbed onto one of the buses and sat at the front, next to the driver. I sat amongst a strange but noticeable silence. Perhaps I was not alone in my anxiety. It was also strange because we were going the wrong way. This oddly bothered me. We travelled to Port Stanley from the west. During 1982, we landed in San Carlos and travelled east across the island. I can remember telling the driver of the bus how strange this felt and how I had a strong sense of being unfamiliar. The silent journey was broken with the pointing out of familiar named places along the road, and then we slowed to take pictures of a welcoming message from an unknown islander. It was bold with large lettering, firmly secured to the ground, as if stating the message with a sense of pride and strength. For me, it was words of reassurance and an opening of arms from the community. However, I was also filled with the thought of what welcome back would mean for me, and what for me, emotionally, I am welcome back to. We arrived at the Falklands Defence Force Drill Hall in Port Stanley. We cleared customs and I reconnected with my luggage. The luggage I had gotten a panic about. I met Paul, my host, and we went back to his house. We had lunch, I unpacked, and then I went for a walk amongst the familiar and not so familiar streets of Stanley.
Houses in 82 weren't here. These are houses by the racecourse. And when we arrived, came up that little path there, and we went through that gate, and we set up the TAC HQ along this fence, probably about here, because I can remember the old stand at the racecourse over there quite clearly, and some of these old buildings. This road here is the road that we came in on when it all finished. It's a road now, but it was a track at the time, and the old boat, as you can see, is still there. And down the end there's a building, a new building, right down the end there. That was the old seaplane building, and that's where we embarked to go back on Fearless, to come back on the LCUs. It's the old main road into Stanley, as you can obviously see. And down the end there, where the blue buildings is, there's, they're a bit more modern, but there was Penguin News and the church. Vaguely see the church spire in the background. It's just, and that the blue building there is the new hospital, and of course that wasn't there in 82. And then just over the top there is the new school, and again that was that's new. That's the secondary school, massive building.
Today was a time to walk on my own, as there's a real surreal feeling about me at this moment. As we drove from the airport, it felt surreal, but not a highly emotional surrealness, just strange. And this feeling has stayed with me as I've walked around the town, Port Stanley. To be honest, it's been difficult to find some space, because wandering around Port Stanley, as well as me, are other individuals walking on their own and reflecting. I've asked them whether they feel this surrealness that I feel, and they do. And as you can see, this is the sound. As I walked along the sound, a jet flew up. The sound sent a shiver that ran down my back. It was a known feeling, a known embodiment. I was with another veteran. We were standing by one of the memorials on the edge of Stanley, near Government House, where in 1982 a dead Argentinian had laid for a couple of days, hand out in a grip-like pose. And there was a dead Argentinian on this side, and he was left for several days with his hand in the air. As if that dead young conscript was giving a message to the other Argentinians who had survived. A symbolic statement of power, the victorious over the defeated. Anyway, as the jet flew on, we looked at each other and didn't speak. And as if to tease us, the jet flew past again, banked steeply and then banked away over the hills on the other side of the Sound. We both recalled and pointed out the emptiness of the ships not at anchor in the Sound, and we wondered what San Carlos water would be like, with the emptiness of sound and that emptiness of ships and that emptiness of life and that emptiness of death.